This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
And welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag. It is Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. We have got a lot to get through tonight as Royal Rumble is right around the corner. And how quickly it came, right? We were talking about 9 weeks, 8 weeks. Oh my God, it felt like forever. Now we're looking, like a week and change? It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So let's get to it. Let's talk to our patrons first. And as you guys know, Patreon members are able to get priority. That's why you guys go up first. I would encourage you to go there, patreon.com/WWE podcast, as well as going to Apple Podcasts and get your ad-free subscription because our prices are increasing on Saturday. So if you want to get 99 cents for the month instead of $2.99 for the month, head on over to Apple Podcasts right now and lock in your price. All right. So this one is from the G-Man, and he says, emotions were running high last week. I'm much calmer now, so I apologize last week, but I love to give you my predictions for the men's and women's Royal Rumble match. For the men, entering number 1 will be Seth, and entering number 2 will be Austin Theory. The final 4 by order will be Austin Theory, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and the winner of the 2023 Men's Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes. Oh, and for the next 10 weeks, we will be hearing Cody win the one championship his dad never won, so get ready for that. Okay, well, I was going to comment, but let me continue. Now on to the women's. Entering number 1 will be Liv Morgan, and number 2 will be the returning Naomi. It's a long shot, but I think she may return. The final 4 by order will be Beth Phoenix, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and the winner of the 2023 Royal Rumble for the women is Rhea Ripley. Thank you, Matt. Have a good one. Well, first of all, G-Man, I'm glad that you were able to do some meditation, do some life reflection, and take a couple of breaths. Now, that doesn't mean that if things go off the rails that you're not entitled to follow suit. We are far from this story of WWE being purchased and Vince coming back, and is he coming for creative and all that. We are far from the conclusion of this. So you and I may be on the same page, losing our minds, but it's going to depend on how things play out. We will see. That said, I don't dislike your final 4. I could see Lashley also being swapped for like Drew McIntyre. That's a possibility. I don't know. Let me think here. Austin Theory being the final 4 makes sense. That makes sense to me because of how much they have pushed him, deservedly so, over the last several months. But he's not believable to win. And the reason I say that is he is in the U.S. title picture, I think, for the foreseeable future. He's not in quite that top level yet. That's not a bad thing. It's just the way it is right now. Take your time with Austin Theory, and I think they will. But I don't think that that's unreasonable to think that those are your final 4. But Cody Rhodes, of course, I think still is the heavy favorite. But the more I think about the heavy favorite, does WWE really want to go with somebody that the WWE fans have known is going to win for like the last 7 months? Is that really the way they want to go? I mean, maybe, maybe not. Maybe they swerve us, and there's always another way to get to the main event. Doesn't always have to be the Royal Rumble. There's another way, so Cody could still get there without winning the Rumble and having someone else win. It could be Seth. What about Seth Rollins winning? And no one's talking about that. Seth Rollins made a good case this past week of winning the Royal Rumble because he said he can beat Roman Reigns like no one else can. And that's true. So we will see. As far as the women's go, that's, like Naomi, look, the number 1 and 2 are always interesting because that sets the tone for the Rumble. Number 1 and 2 always have something of significance going on. There's always, number 1 and 2 are very important. And really entering number 2 is the same as entering number 1. But to be honest, do I think Naomi's coming back? I'd give her a hell of a more of a chance than Sasha Banks, obviously. But just because Sasha Banks went to New Japan doesn't mean she can't come to WWE. I mean, it's possible. Not impossible. I mean, look, WWE does not view New Japan as an actual threat. They aren't. New Japan is not a threat. So if Sasha Banks wanted to make a quick appearance in the Rumble, I don't see any reason why she couldn't. Now I know you're talking about Naomi and not Sasha Banks, but they left the same time. They're kind of lumped together. I like Naomi returning here. I actually do think that is a very valid possibility, and I haven't heard anything, but it's been radio silence on the end of Naomi, but I think it's very, very possible. And I think that the women's division would do well by her return. However, Rhea Ripley, I would agree. Rhea Ripley is the right person to win this. The absolute right person to win. And it might come down to Rhea Ripley and Beth Phoenix. If it does, there's no chance in hell of Beth Phoenix winning here. But I think Rhea Ripley is destined to win the women's championship, Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania against Bianca Belair in probably one of the best matches of the night. I'm already calling it. And Beth Phoenix and Rhea will likely finish up their program at Elimination Chamber because they're not going to be in WrestleMania. I mean, there's just no way. Rhea should not be in a grudge match at WrestleMania. It should be for a championship. As far as Liv Morgan goes and Raquel, sure. Why not? I mean, what about Alexa Bliss? I know that she for some reason had to choose one or the other, but we've seen people do double duty before. Just because they're in a singles match doesn't mean that they can't compete in the Rumble itself. But I like it right now. Yeah, I think that's very possible. As well as, what about Becky Lynch? What about Ronda Rousey? I think they're going to have a run-in. But your Final Four, I can't disagree with. This Rumble is the most unpredictable I've ever been in my entire existence as a wrestling fan for 25 years. I've never seen a Rumble more unpredictable. Thanks, G-Man. All right, let's get to our next patron, Jeff H. And he says, hey, Matt, let's get right into it, shall we? I've got a combination of theories for you. Number one, you've been commenting a lot about the vignettes that are pushing Cody Rhodes, and your fear is that they're setting up for a major title run. I think the reasoning behind them is the exact opposite. I think they are ruining the surprise return at the Rumble in order to let fans down easy that he's not going to win the Rumble. Very similar as to what WWE did with Daniel Bryan's return before Rumble 2015. To me, this confirms that The Rock entering and winning the Rumble to face Roman at Mania, which leads me to the Usos' comment on Raw this week. They said that there's, quote, a big surprise at Raw 30. Every generation of the bloodline will be there. And with that, I'm saying there's going to be an appearance from The Rock. Everything in the ceremony is going along just fine, but eventually it gets to a point of tension where The Rock must acknowledge Roman as the tribal chief, and Rock is hesitant to do it. There'll be some sort of ending where there's no physical contact. The Rock is walking up the ramp while everyone else is in the ring, and Roman makes a comment about The Rock must acknowledge him, and The Rock looks back over his shoulder and leaves. Skip ahead a week. Roman beats KO before the men's Rumble. Rock enters the Rumble at position 30 and wins it to face Roman at Mania and claim he's the real head of the table. Hope this happens. Give me your thoughts. Poke holes in it. Well, this is, as I've said for the last several weeks, this is a mind-bending storyline heading into Rumble and Mania. This is mind-bending because there's so many possibilities. So many. This is one of them. This is one of those infinite possibilities that it hurts my head to think about all the variables and people that could be involved. So let's go through this. And my goal isn't to break down and make fun of your story, because yours is as valid as a lot of others. But I want to give you some potential flaws, fatal flaws. How about that? Like fatal flaws, meaning things that I would say are probably a really hard no that could have this whole storyline crumble. Where, it's not I'm not trying to discredit your theory, anything like that. Like if I brought up a theory, someone could poke a hole in mine. It's any of them that you present could, but let's go through it. Okay. Raw 30. Well, first of all, Cody Rhodes. Okay, let me just say, yeah, it could be that they're doing the exact opposite, but I don't think that they are. In this case, Daniel Bryan and Cody Rhodes are two separate entities, and I think they really screwed up at the 2015 Royal Rumble in a big way. Like, remember that debacle in Philadelphia? Yeah, I think they learned from that. Anyway, no further comment on that. But with this big moment of every generation of the bloodline will be there on Monday Night Raw 30 in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is obviously a major market. Major. It's one of their top 5 markets, I would argue, when it comes to being on TV. It's up there with Madison Square Garden and being in New York City. It's up there and being in Chicago, being in LA, that kind of magnitude. It's that big. So here's what I'll say. If this segment falls at the end of Raw, your theory has some merit to it, much more than I would think it does on the surface. Because if this is pushed to the end of Raw, and it's the quote-unquote main event of Raw 30, then I would say that there's a much higher chance of The Rock appearing. It's unlikely, if this is Raw 30, and this is the quote main event of Raw 30, that it's just Kevin Owens interrupting and attacking the bloodline for the umpteenth time. Because that's predictable. It's fun, and the crowd would cheer for it. But the expectations, if it's the main event, go much higher than if it's like, say, the halfway through the show segment, right? If it's like the top of hour 2 and this is the segment, then The Rock is not appearing. The only way The Rock appears is if this is billed as the main event of Raw. If it is, we got something to talk about. If it's not, and they do it at the open of Raw, they do it in the again, that midway point of Raw, no chance The Rock is appearing. Let me just put it that way. So, but let's pretend this is the main event of Raw, and it very well could be. Okay, so if that's the case, and The Rock appears, because he's a part of the bloodline by default, because he's actual family, and Roman Reigns is his cousin, all that, this does really, I mean, first of all, this is a setup for The Rock. I mean, how can you not talk about every generation of the bloodline? How is The Rock not included in that? Maybe he's excluded, and that's why he appears after the Rumble. Who knows? But to me, let's go through this. As I said, okay, The Rock appears. He doesn't acknowledge Roman Reigns. He's hesitant to do it, and there's no physical contact. I would say this is good. I like your thinking here. He doesn't acknowledge Roman. Or maybe he says, the Usos and Roman say, okay, we've got everyone out here, and The Rock's not there. And they say, okay, we've got everyone out here. And then The Rock comes out and saying, didn't you forget someone? It's saying, obviously, you didn't bring up me. I'm a part of this family. And that's how The Rock appears. But regardless, I don't think, here's the fatal flaw. They've got a big match with KO and Roman at the Rumble. And while everyone and their brother knows that Kevin Owens has, again, a negative chance of winning that match and winning the Universal Championship, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, I think that having The Rock there the week before the Rumble makes no sense, that you're completely overshadowing and looking way past Kevin Owens. That's not a good way to push the title match with Kevin Owens and Roman, because then you're not even really, you've taken the emotional investment of KO and Roman off the table. Because you're looking at this going, cool. Yeah. I mean, we know that's The Rock, Roman, and Kevin Owens is going away very quickly. Like, it really, really sucks the life out of Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns the week of the Rumble, when they're going to have their match just 5 days later. That's the biggest fatal flaw, I would say. Because it doesn't make sense that they would do that. It's just not fair to that match and to those guys, especially Kevin, to completely overlook, move past the match before it even happens. If this segment was happening the night after the Rumble, after Roman Reigns had won and they're doing a massive acknowledgement ceremony for his victory in all generations, then I'd say, oh my God, perfect. The Rock's coming. Very high likelihood. But given that this is going to be the few days before the Rumble, you'd almost never see WWE cannibalize a match that's just about to happen for a match that is bigger. It's not fair. I mean, I know that it's kind of a whiny thing to say, but it's also not good for business because you've built up this match for a while. You want to see Kevin Owens challenge Roman for the belt. All of a sudden, The Rock comes out and you're thinking, oh, who the hell cares about Kevin and Roman? I want Rock and Roman. You don't do that just before the match. Right after it, fine, go ahead, have at it. Knock yourself out. That is the biggest problem I have with this. So, yeah, that's why I think it's probably going to be Kevin Owens interrupting. Sami Zayn continues to dissolve with the bloodline. You'll continue to see things and hints that things could break down. I think Sami's going to be a part of the Rumble. Sami's going to be one of the final four. You could even see Sami Zayn win the damn thing. I think he's going to be a very big crowd favorite if and when Sami Zayn is announced for the Royal Rumble match. Sami Zayn's going to be a massive babyface in that matchup because the fans know what the implications are if he wins and how fun the storyline is going to be heading into WrestleMania if Sami Zayn wins the Rumble. So, I would say Sami Zayn is a very high favorite. I think he's like number 2 behind Cody Rhodes in the betting odds to win the Royal Rumble, and with good reason. But anyway, back to your theory, Jeff. I don't dislike it. Again, I'm not trying to put it down, but I want to tamper expectations here of this happening. But let's pretend it happened, and The Rock enters number 30. Okay, let's pretend he appears next on Monday. He teases Rock Roman, all that. And then he enters the Rumble at number 30. Another issue with this, would you really want The Rock entering the Rumble? And not only entering the Rumble, but getting the easiest position to win the Rumble and then going on to face Roman Reigns? It doesn't also help The Rock because you have The Rock who doesn't need the Rumble to get to Roman. I mean, all Kevin Owens had to do was bait Roman Reigns into an emotional decision. Why should The Rock have to win the Rumble to get to Roman? And also, it would do a disservice to younger guys who could have that moment etched in their career. The Rock's been there, done that. The Rock doesn't need the Rumble. It's overkill. All The Rock has to do is just literally walk out and just stare at Roman Reigns and boom, the match happens. I just think it would do a disservice to the guys who I think deserve it. And actually, I think fans would want Sami Zayn to win the Rumble over The Rock. I know that some people are like, what are you talking about? The storyline is much more fleshed out and developed with Sami. Sami's more invested here than The Rock, who doesn't even exist yet. And you have Sami Zayn as this underdog fan favorite who hasn't got the attention he's deserved. Him as champion would be so much fun and all of that. Where The Rock, wins the Rumble, okay, he takes a spot away from a young guy that could really use that as a staple for his career and a launch pad for his career. And then, even when The Rock gets to WrestleMania to face Roman, he's not going to win the belt anyway. So it's like, just give us the match without the Rumble being sacrificed at the altar of The Rock. It's unnecessary. So, but Jeff, I'm not saying this is impossible. I'm not trying to put down your stuff, but you asked me to poke holes in it, but I'm also giving you realistic expectations of what I think. I could be totally wrong. They do this. Totally. But things are about to get real fun real quick around here. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. And let's get to our next email. All right, it's Mr. DJ Kuzmo, who says, hello, WWE and AEW fan. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again in your mailbag show. Here we go, some random thoughts. Number 1, kind of random that Raw is having a steel cage match next week with Bayley and Becky Lynch when there really isn't any storyline between them as to why they don't like each other. I guess probably this feud may end after the steel cage match on next week's Raw 30. Yeah, I brought this up in my Raw review, DJ. This is... I respect both women so much in what they've accomplished, and both are Hall of Famers already. And in their past, their programs have been fun. This one feels baseless. It feels empty. It feels forced, and it's weird saying that with these two. But it's almost just like, okay, I'm a babyface, you're a heel, and let's just kind of create something out of nothing to get people to care. And then they're trying to gimmick it up to get the interest up and putting a steel cage match in it. There's nothing here. I fully hope and suspect that after this cage match that is completely unnecessary and tells you they need a crutch to get people to care about this, is after this, it's over. I mean, let's just move on. No one seems emotionally invested, and it's really, I don't know whose fault it is, but this one, it's just oil and water, doesn't work. And hopefully after next week, it's over and they just move on to what they really should be doing, and that's focusing on WrestleMania. Number 2, remember when Xia Li was revealed to be the mysterious person that interfered in the women's tag title match on SmackDown, helping Damage Control get the victory? It's kind of random that she reverted back to her karate-style gimmick, and there's no continuation of the storyline between her and Damage Control. I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number 1, I think Damage Control is about to be dissolved. I know they're the women's tag team champions. Remember that? Yeah. Sad that they keep doing this to the women's belts, but I think that the tag belts are about to go away. This team is about to go away, I should say. And Xia Li, they just don't know what the hell to do with. How many times did we see her come out, look like Raiden from Mortal Kombat, tell Chasey's the protector, was a babyface, turned heel, back to a babyface, interfered in the tag team title match, and then just back to karate style? I have no idea who and what she is. She doesn't know who and what she is. They don't know what to do. That's the problem. Number 3, there's a SmackDown Tag Team title tournament for the number 1 contender spot happening this Friday. It's kind of random that this is happening this week. We're on Raw. We got the Raw Tag Team titles match next week between the Usos and Judgment Day. It seems like the writing is on the wall that the Usos drop one or both of the tag team championships. I think one of them. I think that they want to keep the streak going for the SmackDown. I think there's a 50-50 chance, if not better, that they lose the Raw Tag Team titles to the Judgment Day next week, because the Judgment Day, I think, could really benefit from those tag belts. You put gold on a heel group, it always works well. They were on a roll. You could implement the Freebird rules with that team with the tag titles. And I think that the SmackDown tag titles are really the home for the Usos, where they drop them to Sami and Kevin at WrestleMania. I continue to say that. If Sami doesn't win the Rumble, by the way. And by the way, they just randomly split the belts. There was no explanation at all. None. They just decided, they're no longer unified. Okay, number 4. Kind of random how Solo and the Usos came in for the, quote, save during the Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens main event this past Friday. I thought it was Sami's opportunity to win one for the Bloodline on his own and not have the Bloodline come to his rescue. And by the way, did you see Sami Zayn's facials when the Bloodline interrupted? Because his facials say it all. Yeah, I brought this up on my review show too on Raw. Sami Zayn's facials really sold the entire thing. And it was very, very interesting that the Bloodline came in at a time when Sami had the match in control. I think it was Roman Reigns sending a message to Sami Zayn that he's the one in control, that he's the one that wants to get the spotlight, that he is the one that wants to beat Kevin. Because I think in character, Roman's character feels threatened by Sami Zayn. And that's where this whole thing's going to come crashing down. Number 5, just an opinion, but I prefer the pairing of Bronson Reed and The Miz rather than the pairing of JBL and Corbin, a.k.a. Baron Corbin, or a boring Corbin. I call him Boring Baron. To me, Corbin doesn't need someone to speak for him or get the rub from JBL. Corbin can speak for himself, and at times it seems like JBL is getting more over than Corbin. Yeah, that's exactly my point, TJ. I've been preaching that too. It's like JBL's the one getting the heat. I know that they're trying to bring out a legend to make Corbin more relevant, but they just still don't feel like they mesh. JBL and Corbin I understand the idea, and they're thinking maybe the longer they go, the more that it'll catch on. I don't hate the pairing. I just don't feel it. That's all. JBL is a great heel. JBL can, he can still generate heat very well. But the problem is JBL's heat isn't transferring to Corbin. And Corbin was never bad on the mic to begin with. You're right. But Corbin just is kind of a lost puppy right now. And I'm not saying he should be fired, but there's something missing for sure. And JBL's not that missing piece. Okay. Number 5. Oh, wait, no. We're continuing on point 5. On the flip side, Bronson Reed and The Miz could make a good alliance like back in the day when Harley Race used to manage Big Van Vader, a.k.a. Vader, in WCW. Nothing against the Miz's in-ring ability, but I see he could become a potential manager for Bronson Reed and putting him over, since Bronson Reed hasn't really spoken much and he doesn't have a connection with the crowd yet. Like I said, it's just my opinion. Yeah, I actually wish that The Miz had transferred to a managerial position years ago. The Miz is good in the ring. He's really good on the mic, but we have seen The Miz's potential. We have seen it capped out. I'm sorry, we have. If you're a Miz fan, I think that we have seen the best days of The Miz. I don't think he will ever capture a top belt again in terms of top championship. WWE, i.e. Universal. I think those days are gone. The Miz is a much... And yet, at the same time, he looks like he has 20 years left in him because he doesn't age. But right now, I think that Miz is and when he does retire, is a perfect candidate for a managerial role. 6. And yeah, the breaking news, Cody Rhodes declaring for the Rumble was pretty obvious. I was not surprised because it was a foregone conclusion. He was going to show up anyway, signing off DJ Kuzma piece. So yeah, like we all kind of knew that, right? Like it was the worst kept secret in professional wrestling over the last 6 months is Cody Rhodes coming back for the Rumble. I mean, we knew that it wasn't going to be a surprise, and they just decided, okay, well, we're not going to pretend it's a surprise because everyone knows anyway, and they've known for the last 6 months. But the question now is, not is Cody Rhodes going to appear, is he going to win? That's the key. I think he's still a heavy favorite, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Because don't forget, there's more than one way to get to the main event of WrestleMania. It's not just the Rumble. It's not Rumble or bust. It's not Rumble or bust. It is Rumble or option 2, which is just attack the champion. Don't forget, that's like the tried and true formula, guys. All right. Thanks, DJ. And let's see here. Don't know if we have anybody else, but guys, I'm recording this a little earlier on a Wednesday than I normally do. So in the order in which they come in from patrons is the order in which I read them. So if I'm reading a non-patron email and you're thinking, I put one in, I'll get to them as I get later in the night. I'm recording this through multiple hours of the day. Okay, so keep that in mind. But let's move on to somebody who is not in the Patreon realm. And let's see here. Let's talk to Jackson from Melbourne. He says, sorry I've been absent. Haven't listened to the podcast or tuned into any wrestling since late December, as I took a trip to Thailand with my family and got engaged to my girlfriend over there on our anniversary. We were able to watch the YouTube shorts of the matches that WWE posted, but to share it to get a grasp of the landscape from WWE from just that. Well, first of all, congratulations. I started tuning in again from this most recent SmackDown when I returned to Australia, and one thing I wanted to point out that anyone from your podcast or the Wrestling Inc. podcast seemed to have missed is that when Adam Pearce spoke about the tag team turmoil to Drew and Sheamus, is that he said it's for the SmackDown tag team championships. So pending seeing the other teams in turmoil, I have Drew and Sheamus winning it and taking the SmackDown tag team championships off the Usos so they're no longer unified. I like Sheamus and Drew as a team. It's nice to see them as a team instead of opponents. That's a nice change. They have real life friendship that is well documented. I don't think, though, if you're going to ask me if the Judgment Day or Drew and Sheamus are more likely to take one of the belts off the Usos, I think the Judgment Day is. Because the Usos are on a 500-plus day streak. Longest running tag team champions of all time. I think that it's, again, Sammy and KO who take the belts off of them, the SmackDown belts, which seem to be the ones that, I don't know, feel more important to them than the other ones. But I think that right now you're right. You're gonna have one of those belts be dropped, but I think it's the Raw ones to the Judgment Day. That's my personal take. Also, I find it weird how Bray Wyatt said that he is Uncle Howdy. Despite in the last few weeks we've seen him and Uncle Howdy side by side. I don't know if I've missed anything in that regard, but as Bray usually leaves most people after that promo, I'm more confused than I was before. Did I miss something? Did Bray say that he is Uncle Howdy? I might have missed that. From what I remember, Bray said that he's going to revel in what he is, that the dark side of him is going to come out. I don't think I could be totally wrong, Jackson. I could be totally wrong, and I missed it. Because Bray Wyatt promos, I don't tune out, but I just kind of get the gist, and I don't try to dive in too much because I honestly don't have the time to sit and do a thesis on his promos. I just don't. Some people love to dissect and try to get into the nitty-gritty of what he's saying and decode it, like it's Da Vinci Code. I don't do that. So if he said it, I missed it. But yeah, sometimes most of the time I leave Bray Wyatt promos more confused than I went in. But I think he believes that being deep in promos and being cryptic is more fun. I don't think it is, honestly. Okay. In regards to your comments about Raquel's potential heel turn, I personally think she is much better as the heel than a face. If you look at her work in NXT alongside Dakota Kai, she just delivered each week on what a heel is supposed to be, and I'm excited for a heel turn there. Yeah, again, we'll have to see week by week here if Raquel is continuing to show heel tendencies or if that was just kind of a one-off weird anomalous booking of her character last week where she was a little bit egotistical and making fun of Liv's size and toying with her in the match this past week on SmackDown. But I think that with Charlotte Flair going babyface, that Raquel Rodriguez going heel would be a nice kind of balancing act where now you have Charlotte able to work with someone new and an actual threat to her championship. I like it. Okay, the potential buyout of WWE, which I think will happen, would be best in Disney's hand. Just a personal opinion, but I think we wouldn't see many on-screen changes, and I've heard reports that Vince wants to sell to someone or a company that will keep him on the company side of things and Triple H as head of creative. Yeah. Again, I've heard Disney's name's been thrown out there for the last couple of years now. And I'm concerned. Okay, let's pretend that Disney bought WWE. I have concerns about Disney, and the reason is, and this is concerns with really any major corporation that buys WWE, not just exclusive to Disney, is that a lot of their content now in today's political and cultural climate is politically driven. Okay, their ideologies are seeped in and baked into the product. And my concern would be with Disney, or really anybody, because if you have that much money, you have a lot of political and cultural influence to buy WWE, okay? Is that whoever buys, including Disney, that they would bake in some of their political, ideological beliefs into the product that would come on camera, and I hate that. I don't care what aisle you fall on, what side, you're on the left, you're on the right, you're whatever. I don't want any of it in my stuff. None of it. It should just be independent and completely exempt from that garbage. And I mean that on either end. Your political ideology should stay the hell out of wrestling. And that's my concern in today's world. That's my largest concern, is that. Okay. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Anything interesting happens on Raw and NXT, I'll write in again. But I look forward to another year of listening to the podcast and disagreeing with almost anything you say. It's good. I like that. I don't mean to be confrontational, but I like when people hate my opinions. Diversity of opinions, awesome. And I like how you hate you don't hate, but you disagree with a lot of what I have to say. You continue to listen and you write in respectfully. That is something that is a lost art in today's world. So thank you, Jackson, for disagreeing with me. It's cool. I like it. That means we're not the same. That's great. I don't mean that in a sarcastic way either. I really do believe that. All right, let's continue with the next email. And let's get to Tony M and Lily. So let's go. You say, hello, hope all is well. I was watching SmackDown live from Green Bay from my couch, 45 minutes north of Green Bay with my daughter. We were both wishing we were at the live event to see Sammy versus KO. It was really a pretty decent episode of SmackDown, and we thought the crowd sounded rowdy and excited for the show. Anyway, we wanted your thoughts on Bray Wyatt's entrance overall. We are a fan of his, and I was very excited when he returned and all. I like how his music hits with the lights going out and the slow build with the chime in the beginning. That's all great. Once the music actually gets going, can we maybe speed up the walk with the lantern to the ring? I get the build up and all, but his segment on this particular episode of SmackDown may have actually been shorter than his entrance to the ring. Are we overreacting? No, Tony and Lily, you guys are not overreacting. And you could say the same thing about many entrances in WWE over the years. Undertaker. I mean, sometimes Undertaker's entrances were longer than the match. Same with Roman Reigns now. How long is Roman Reigns' entrance, for God's sake? You know, like there's entrances over the years that just are unnecessarily long, but some of them, you look at and go, well, it's still a cool entrance. And Bray's, I agree, could be sped up a little bit. I like the music. I understand, I like the door, the light shining through the door. He takes his time getting to the ring, but yeah, maybe he could speed up his walk a little bit, but I don't think they'll do it. They think that it's the ambiance, the people with the cell phones with their lights in the air and all that. They like the visual of that. But imagine this. Just think about this. How about a triple threat with The Undertaker, Roman Reigns, and Bray Wyatt? Imagine that and think about, I bet you could place bets on if the match will be longer or if the entrances combined would be longer. I mean, so there have been, I agree that it is a little bit long to watch. I actually, on Hulu, which is how I watch SmackDown and Raw, I skip through the entrance because it's cool. Like, I've seen it. If you've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times. And I skip through it just to get to whatever he's about to say because it does take up several minutes that sometimes you don't have. But, all right, Tony, thank you. And Lily, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the Rumble season and into WrestleMania. And, yeah, I mean, if you were that close to Green Bay, I bet you do wish you were there for that match. All right, let's get to our next email. And this one comes to us from Rocky T. He's checking in once again, and it's time for Rocky T's Rapid Fire. Oh, yeah, a lot of bullets there tonight. All right, so to comment on what Randy from LA said last week about Bayley's body, I noticed it too. Bayley got a booty. Or she got booty, yeah. I actually think that her thighs look thicker. To your point, Matt, I think during her rehab, she gained more muscle on her lower body. Yeah, to me, this is really a non-factor, though. I like the fact that she's a thicker girl, okay? I don't need everyone looking like they just walked off the Olympic gymnastics team, okay? I don't need that. We have enough of those bodies, and there's nothing wrong with it, but when you see a body that looks different, it's an asset, I think. And yeah, it's not fat. Okay. She doesn't look super toned, but she's clearly added muscle. But Bayley's always been muscular. There's even a famous TikTok or something going around where somebody had a sign up at a house show that said, I came for Bayley's ass or something, just so that they could see it in person. I mean, she is a shapely person. Let me just say that. And I mean that in a very complimentary way. And so, yeah, I have no problem with it. To me, it's like a non-issue. Is it something noticeable if you put her pictures side by side? Yeah, but it's a non-factor for me. I care much more about what her character's doing and what her matches are like. So, but yeah, no, it's noticeable. All right, Sami Zayn delivers an absolute jaw-dropping, picture-perfect, death-defying brainbuster on the apron to KO. Yeah, these two have the utmost trust in each other to not paralyze or kill one another. And guys often that are best friends off camera put on the best matches in the ring because they're the most comfortable. They don't have to worry about anything. They understand the ins and outs of that individual's work and their style and their maneuvers and all their moveset. And more often than not, we see it with what? Drew and Sheamus. How many great matches have we seen those two put on? And it's not always the case. You see guys that are actually foes and women that are foes that put on great matches. Bayley and Becky put on great matches together. Or I'm sorry, Becky and Charlotte, rather, I meant, put on great matches together. We've seen Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels back in the day put on great matches together, and they didn't like each other personally. But I think more often than not, it lends itself to be a better match when they're actually real friends in real life. So Santino Marella debuts as, quote, Director of Authority for Impact Wrestling. Oh, okay. No idea. I'll say as long as Santino or Santina Marella do not make debuts in the Rumble, I'm good. Add Ruby Soho to Mimi Burris's Best Bleeders Club. If you didn't see the tag team street fight on AEW Dynamite last week, check it out. I heard about this. Yeah, I heard about Ruby Soho, Ruby Riott in WWE. I heard about that. And I had not seen any images, but I'm going to dig them up. Also, about the possible formation of a new Hurt Business with Omos joining. You might not remember, but I proposed this happening back on the Mailbag in episode 106. I don't remember, Rocky. I mean, I can't remember what I said 5 minutes ago, much less what I said, 10 episodes ago. So, but thank you for reminding me. I'll take you at face value, and I think you win today, because if that's the case, and you're right, Omos joining the Hurt Business is something I think could be an asset. It'll certainly give Omos something to do besides squash people and be a part of a faction. I think that's a nice change for Omos. All right, let's get to Mr. Dennis McGinley, who's on the Patreon side of things, and he says, "This is Dennis McGinley, the top of the line of the WWE podcast. Yes, back again, the hater, or you can hate. I'm still your number one heel. Nothing's going to change that for you kids." So, Matt, with this link, I did click on it. I have heard that Vince McMahon may sell WWE to Saudi Arabia. What would that do with watching WWE on Hulu the next day for me and others watch it on Hulu? Honestly, I don't think it would have any effect. I mean, we've gone through the Saudi Arabia thing at length here, and until it happens, I don't want to speculate on anything. There's too many variables. I've heard AEW be a contender. I even made a video on that, of AEW being a possible buyer for WWE. I don't think it'll happen, but they're in the hunt. Now, WWE being bought by Saudi Arabia, would it have any impact on Hulu the next day? I wouldn't think so. That'd be a really awful thing to do, really a bad business decision if Saudi Arabia decides, well, we own WWE now, and those U.S. fans that watch it on Hulu the next day, we're gonna take that away, because guess what? Streaming is here to stay. I would argue the Hulu numbers have gone up while the TV ratings have gone down. Generally, I mean, people still have cable packages and things, but I think a lot of people watch on delay on Hulu. A lot. I don't know the numbers, but it can't be going down. It's got to be going up, especially when you talk Monday Night Raw, where Raw goes from 3 hours to 90 minutes with no commercial breaks on Hulu. I mean, it's certainly a much more appetizing, palatable option versus 3 hours plus commercials. Matt, we'll talk with you next week, and for all you dumbskulls, I see you in the squared circle, no video game to beat you down, so you are unable to watch in April at WrestleMania 39. I'm going to come find each and every one of you Patreon numbskulls and bring you to the ring to do this. I'm not anyone's daddy, and don't take anyone's words. I have beat the biggest and baddest, so bring it, kids. Go Bucks. Well, Bucks, if you're I'm imagining you're talking about the Tampa Bay Bucks, Dennis, and things did not fare well against the Cowboys. But to be fair, they shouldn't. I mean, they have an under 500 record, and they were there by smoke and mirrors. They won a lot of games that they shouldn't have won, particularly the one against the Saints. Okay, they should not have been there to begin with. And I know Tom Brady's the quarterback, but he couldn't muster much of an offense outside of the last couple of touchdowns that really meant nothing. And They were just beaten by a simply better team. There's no shame in that. I know that the whole record of, Tom Brady's undefeated against the Cowboys. Yeah, but when he was against the Cowboys with a much more complete team around him, with wide receivers he could rely on, tight ends he could rely on. Of course, that's a stat that's a little bit skewed because he wasn't with the Bucks when he defeated them. So, that said, the Bucks, I'm sorry, it's nobody's surprise. But, thank you, Dennis, for your input. All right, let's continue here. We got a few more emails. And where do we go next? I'm going to flip the coin here. Let's go with Levi Graham. And he says, hope all's well today. I will make it quick. So in my last email, I said that the breakout star of the year this year would be LA Knight. And I'm still here to talk about LA Knight. So everybody has been speculating about who Steve Austin will face. Some people say he will face Cena, some say Punk, some say Brock, but I think it will be LA Knight. Yeah, the promos would be insane. It would keep him insanely relevant, and it would basically give him the same rub to LA Knight as it did for Owens, and the match would be insane. That's all for today. Stay safe, pro wrestling lovers. Well, Levi, I don't hate this on paper, but here's the thing. Do you think LA Knight is the one guy that has tempted Austin to come back for yet another match? And this time I believe it's a true match at WrestleMania 39. Again, unconfirmed, but based on all of his Instagram posts he's been putting out the last several months, he's had much more time to prepare, slim down, and not wear a t-shirt to the ring and all that, and look like Stone Cold of 99 to the best he can, of course. But I don't think LA Knight's the guy that Stone Cold is looking towards for, like, hey man, if I'm going to come back and have one last true match, it's got to be LA Knight, right? Like, it doesn't make sense, doesn't add up. Okay, LA Knight is a star on the rise. I understand your thought process and your reasoning for Stone Cold and the rub and all that, but here's the thing. Owens was already an established big star, major star, dare I say, in WWE, versus LA Knight, who most fans didn't even know until he came up and started feuding with Bray Wyatt, like a few months ago? I mean, there's a huge difference between KO and LA Knight versus much less Stone Cold Steve Austin versus LA Knight. I have no problem with this match actually happening if it ever did, but it shouldn't be at WrestleMania. Like, if it happened, it would be like on a Monday Night Raw and like a quick match, I think, where, he puts a beating on Austin for a few minutes and then Austin comes back, stomps a mud hole, stunner, beer, and goodnight the lights. Like, that's fine. I'm not saying bury LA Knight, give him some offense in that quick match, but it's not a match that should happen on a pay-per-view. Again, Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, you want to have Austin in yet another quick match that's just fun, but gives LA Knight some time to shine and give him the rub, sure. But for WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood with millions of people watching, you can't tell me that LA Knight is a bigger match with Austin than Cena or Brock, these dream matches people have wanted to see for 20 years, versus a match that we concocted in the last couple of months that's possible. I totally understand what you're saying. I get it. But when you think in terms of WrestleMania, it doesn't compare when you look at these other massive stars. All right. Well, thank you, buddy. Hope to hear from you next week. Let's get to our last couple of emails here, and let's talk to Kimberly S. And she says, "Hi, my name is Kimberly. I listen to the podcast with my boyfriend from time to time over the last year." What do you mean time to time? No. There's no time to time on this podcast, guys. It's all or nothing. How dare you? I'm joking. Okay, I remember hearing an episode, Mr. Kanye Twitty and Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan, about talking how Mrs. Kanye Twitty and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan do not like Chad Gable and how they leave the room when Alpha Academy's music hits. Well, I like him to the point that I have adopted his catchphrase when my boyfriend gets on my nerves and I tell him shoosh. Ooh boy. I'm an elite hairstylist here in Houston, Texas, and I just love how shiny AJ Styles' hair is. It's fabulous. This has got to be a first for the show. Somebody that is a badass elite hairstylist has come on the show to write in. This is a first, Kimberly. So, congratulations on that. However, based on my hairstyle, you wouldn't make a whole lot of money off me. If you look at my logo, that's exactly how I look. Okay. Like no hair, and it's not really by choice. If I grew my hair out, it would be hilarious. It'd be embarrassing. People would look at me and get secondhand embarrassment if I didn't shave my head, but it'd be hilarious at the same time. It's so weird. I know we're not here to talk about my hair, but very quickly, since we're on the hair topic that I never talk about, I started like losing my hairline around like 26, 27, 28. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm effing in my mid to late 20s. What the hell's going on? And, then all of a sudden it started to really thin on top. Around the sides is like thick as hell, but like on top, I'm like, what is happening? Everyone in my family has a full head of hair. My grandfather, 90 something, he died with a full head of hair. The problem is, the rumor is that your hairline comes from your mother's father. And in my family, my mother's father had a receding hairline pretty early, and the rest is history. So I'm not going to be doing any hairstyling anytime soon. So I'm sorry that I can't, be a source of income for you heading down to Houston, Texas. If I'm in the area, I get my hair done by you, Kim. Unless I come in for a nice, literally a shave of the entire head. Okay. But the shoosh thing, if you're shooshing your boyfriend, now, I would imagine he's also a wrestling fan. You said that you and your boyfriend listened from time to time to the show. And if that's the case, then I would imagine that, again, he understands the context of why you're saying shoosh. But how does he take it? I guess that's the follow-up. Does he get super annoyed? Does it cause additional fights? I mean, like, does it help? Does it break the tension? What's the result of this? I mean, we have to know this, Kim. As far as AJ Styles goes, yeah, he's got fabulous hair, no doubt. Also, I'm very upset because there's a dozen shirts for the Bloodline, hats and hoodies, but no pants. We want the pants the Bloodline wears, but they're nowhere to be found. Also, I will be at the Rumble. Going forward, please call me Mrs. Rocky T. Oh, okay, well, Mrs. Rocky T, not Kim. Mrs. Rocky T. Oh, well, now I got it. From Houston, Texas, also Rocky T. Got it. Okay, you didn't reveal your identity until the very last line of the email. Very clever. Well, Mrs. Rocky T. I'll be talking to your boyfriend for the podcast for the review show. Looking forward to it. But yeah, I don't know how they don't have pants. You'd imagine that how successful this Bloodline group is, that they would, monetize everything they could. I mean, they'd be creating pens and every possible thing you could wear, keychains and shoes, and like, this is a group that does not come around very often, and we may not see in our lifetimes a group and a title run this long. Anybody that's listening within the sound of my voice, I can bet the majority, not all, but the majority of you listening have never had and experienced a title reign this long. I haven't. Again, I'm not the measuring stick by any means. I've been watching since 97, 25, now almost 26 years. But I'd imagine that the most of you listening have not experienced this. And that tells you that this is likely something that's not going to happen again, maybe in our lifetimes. So that said, my point is, yeah, you'd think that they would be putting pants out there and everything else. Certainly, yeah. Because the as much as a heel group as they are a cash cow for WWE right now. All right. Thank you, Kim. I mean, Mrs. Rocky T. So let's get to our final email, dare I say, from Zachary. And he says, "Hi, WWE Podcast, Zachary M. I've been listening for a couple of months now, and I think that this is the best WWE analysis on the web. I'm sending this in to tell you about my Roman Reigns best case scenario." Well, thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. I know, look, we're not for everybody's taste. Usually when you hear from people, when you hear from anybody, whether if you run a business, you run a podcast, whatever, most of the time when you hear stuff, it's bad. Usually that's when people want to just go on and just tell you what they think, and it's awful, and this is that, and oh yeah, I've heard it all. I've heard everything about me from this podcast is, or I talk too much, or I give too much of my opinion, which is hilarious because that's exactly what the definition of a podcast is. Like, it's opinion from start to finish. It doesn't make any sense to me. But also I've heard I'm a racist. Gotta love that one in 2023. Right? The old, I don't like it, so I'm going to call him a racist. Right? Because there's a lot of evidence for that one, I'm sure. I've heard it all. That this podcast, we don't know what we're talking about, all this. I mean, honestly, it used to bother me. I could care less about that stuff. But when people come on and say nice things, I try to focus on that. And I really appreciate that, Zach. You're not going to love everything we do or say. You're not going to love every opinion we have. You probably want, maybe at times get angry at what we say and really want to chime in. But that's what this podcast is for. That's what this mailbag's for. Okay. So let's see. I lost my path here. We got, The Rock wins the Rumble. He eliminates Roman, who is on the path of destruction. Roman beats Rock at Mania, but while the Bloodline are celebrating, Sami Zayn tries to hit Roman with a chair, but is stopped by Solo Sikoa. The Bloodline proceeds to beat down Zayn while Roman says that he always knew this would happen and that he was prepared. The camera cuts and WrestleMania goes off the air with a shot of Sami bloodied and broken in the middle of the ring. Roman drops the belt to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40. Sorry if this is a long message. Love the podcast. Bye and stay oozy. Thanks, Zach. And no, certainly not too long of an email. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're already talking about WrestleMania 40. So I'll tell you this, Zach. You are the first one to go out that far with a Roman Reigns run. I'm still of the belief he will drop it at SummerSlam this year after they get through the 1,000 days, which is around Memorial Day this year, right at the end of May. they'll get past that. And then we can really start looking at WrestleMania or SummerSlam, which they have billed as the WrestleMania of the summer. So why not? It's a stadium show now, and arguably their second biggest show of the year. Not arguably, it is at least from an attendance perspective, and the way that they build it and all that. So why not? I think SummerSlam is truly the next destination of Roman Reigns really getting a solid chance to lose the belt. That's my personal opinion. Of course, we'll see and have a lot more answers in the next week or two when we know if The Rock's going to be in the Rumble or not. Honestly, I mean, I've said this before, but just to quickly paraphrase, I don't want The Rock in the Rumble. I mean, I don't. If you've heard this podcast before, you know where I'm going with that. I don't think it's a necessary step. I think it's a totally unnecessary to put The Rock in the Rumble for something that he doesn't need the Rumble to get to. Like, the Royal Rumble as a vehicle to get to Rock challenging Roman is totally unnecessary, and really, to me, takes an opportunity away from somebody. And you may say, well, if The Rock's going to face Roman, he has to win the Rumble. No, because I think they're going to split the championships. I think it's going to be the WWE Championship coming to Raw, where it's going to be Cody versus Seth. And then I think it's going to be Rock Roman for the Universal Championship on SmackDown. That on the SmackDown side of things, I think that's what's going to happen, personally. And they solve the issue of the unified belts, put one belt back on Raw. Roman still retains the streak, also beats The Rock, as we all believe is going to happen if The Rock shows up anyway. And then we move on, and Rock goes back to Hollywood, and we got the match we wanted, but now who's Roman's real next opponent? Yeah, like, that's so funny to me. And Sami Zayn could be that guy. He could be the one to end the streak of Roman. Certainly he's in the running, but Seth Rollins is also up there, given their history, given the payback is that it's due to Roman from Survivor Series of 21. So, all right, I'll leave it there, but thank you for that. And guess what time it is, guys? It's time. It's time. Not Vader time, but it's voicemail time.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to live once again on a Wednesday morning, on a beautiful Wednesday morning. And before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, a moment of silence, a quick moment of silence for a recent passing of a great, incredible wrestler. So a quick moment of silence. So last night it was reported that none other than Jay Briscoe, one half of the Briscoe tag team, one of the greatest tag teams in the world today, Jay Briscoe passed away at the age of 38 years old. It was reported that he passed away via a car accident. Now, I don't know if that is true or not, but given the fact that he passed away so suddenly at the age of 38, leaving such a great legacy in professional wrestling for over 15 years in the industry. Over 15 years in the industry, with him and his brother Mark Briscoe doing a damn good job in the tag team division all over the world, in Japan, in Ring of Honor. And man, to hear this news is so sad. It is so sad to hear such a huge loss for professional wrestling in a guy by the name of Jay Briscoe. I did get a chance to watch his match against FTR for the Ring of Honor tag team titles in a dog collar match. An absolute classic, great ring psychology, and of course, there had to be blood. There were lots of blood in this match. So if you didn't get a chance to see that match or any other classic match that the Briscoes had over their career spanning over 15 years, you got to go check them out on YouTube or wherever you get a chance to watch full matches. But other than that, shout out to the Briscoe family. Much prayer and support to the Briscoe family as we mourn the loss of Jay Briscoe at the age of 38, one half of the greatest tag team in the world today, the Briscoes. Now, before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, before we get there, I want to stake my claim. Last week, during the course of the mailbag, as I was listening to the mailbag, I put in the Discord chat a heartfelt message. And this heartfelt message was to you guys and ladies that don't get so caught up in the rumors. Don't get so caught up in what's going on Twitter as people are speculating that the WWE is going to get purchased by Saudi Arabia. Are you kidding me? Why would Vince McMahon want to sell a company, his beloved WWE, to Saudi Arabia or even potentially AEW, which is an absolute pipe dream? Let's get that straight. It's an absolute pipe dream if that were to happen, because WWE is the greatest, the number one professional wrestling company in the world. So why would Vince McMahon want to do something like that? Now, we do mourn the loss of the departure of Stephanie McMahon. We will miss Stephanie McMahon in WWE. But guys and ladies, let's not get so distracted on the rumors. Let's focus on the fact that we're just 1 week away. 1 week away to the Royal Rumble. Oh my goodness. 1 week away till we get to see Cody Rhodes again. 1 week away to one of the awesome matches that we're going to have with the Pitch Black match with Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. 1 week away to the Royal Rumble. Aren't you excited about that? So, G-Man, I see you, and everybody else, I see your concern and your frustration, but let's not get so caught up in what we cannot control. Let's focus on the product. Let's continue to invest in the product because the product has done so much for us over our lifetime. We love wrestling. We enjoy wrestling. So guys and ladies, let's not get caught up in the rumors. Let's stay focused and let's get ready for the Royal Rumble. Now, with that being said, I know I'm going over 3 minutes of my time because I had to share this with you guys. I had to share this with you ladies about my concern for you all getting so caught up in the rumors. Now, let's get to your favorite show to come on every single mailbag. And that's right, we don't take no breaks here because my guy, Veer Mahan, will continue to be reported even if he's not on NXT or not. So, let's get to the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report has been brought to you by, that's right, my New York Football Giants. What an incredible playoff victory they had this past weekend against the Minnesota Vikings in a score of 31-24, an absolute classic. There was a lot of people saying that the Minnesota Vikings would defeat the New York Giants, but the New York Giants shocked the world and defeated the Minnesota Vikings. So shout out to my guy, Grim Reaper. Sorry for your loss, my brother. We have to continue on this playoff run, and hopefully we can get to the NFC Championship game. But other than that, we got this coming weekend, one of the biggest and toughest matches for my New York Football Giants. So shout out to Elvis Escobar. I hope you're listening, my friend, because the New York Giants are going up against those pesky damn Philadelphia Eagles with their fly, Eagles fly, boo-hoo. We don't want you. We hate you, and we can't stand you, Philadelphia Eagle fans. So let's get to, before I get so carried away with football, because this is not a football podcast, so shout out to Mike Ritter and his Football Function podcast. Let's get back to the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report took place last night on NXT, but we did not get an appearance of the Indashir. We did not get an appearance of my guy, Veer Mahan and Sangha, as Veer Mahan continues to mourn the loss of his father, as Veer Mahan continues to just take some time away, I guess, from professional wrestling because he had a close relationship with his father. He had a relationship that goes deeper than just being a father and son. And he put out a heartfelt letter. He put out a heartfelt letter on Instagram a week ago about the loss of his father, and I just want to read a little bit from this. It says, "My soul shook with great pain when I heard the news of your passing. Every moment which you fill me with happiness and attachment. No matter where I will find myself in the world, your presence gives me courage and enthusiasm." And to fast forward, he also says, "I will try to follow your footsteps till the last breath. My respect and honor to you and mother. Lots of love, Badu Ju." So that is Veer Mahan's heartfelt letter to his father, Veer Mahan, Senior Papa Veer. So much love to my guy, Veer Mahan. You know, I'm going to continue to support you, my brother, and I can't wait to see you back on NXT with the Indashir of my guy, Veer Mahan and Sangha. So with that being said, I know this is a long one. I hope you all guys have a blessed week. Stay easy, my friends. Be kind to one another, and peace.
All right, DJ. So some good stuff here. I'm going to comment on a few things that you mentioned. And the Jay Briscoe, I didn't bring that up. I didn't want to. I had a feeling that you were going to bring that up, and I didn't want to steal your thunder. So, yeah, Jay Briscoe, obviously, tragically passing away in a car accident and all that. And, yeah, it's, again, I always bring this back to just reality. I mean, I bring it back to, you know, we all love wrestling. We all love whatever form of entertainment we love, but death comes for us all. And I'm not trying to be morbid, okay? And even if it's a distant death where you didn't know the person personally, but maybe you looked up to that individual or somebody within your industry dies, like Eddie Guerrero or like Jay Briscoe, it just brings it back home. It just humbles you and you're like, oh yeah, like we're all, we're all mortal. And that's the one heel that's undefeated, right? Like that's the one thing you can't kick out of. All of us eventually will. And, at least you can take solace in that for, I guess, depending on what you believe. But, that said, yeah, Jay Briscoe, condolences as well, family, friends, anyone affected. And, just even the fans that seem to be kind of saddened by it from as much of a perspective as we can be, given we're just fans, I get it. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about wrestling here. And you brought up like that we should all not get caught up in the rumors and innuendo. And I've been preaching that now for a couple of weeks as things have gone off the rails with stories and oh, wait, it's confirmed WWE has been sold to Saudi Arabia. And then, oh, wait, no, it's not. You're going to see that crap going on for a while. And until things are confirmed, I like to kind of stay with level head and take things as they come, because we have no effect on what's going to happen. We just, we react to what's happening. And right now we don't have anything happening other than we know Vince is back on the board. He may already be back in the office. He may be trying to get back in front of creative. That does sound like a Vince thing to do. But until things actually happen, it's difficult, and it's fun and it's exciting, and you can get emotional about getting all up in arms about the rumors and possibilities of what could happen, should happen, will happen, all that. But it's at the end of the day, you may be wasting a lot of your breath and energy on it, and until that happens, we got nothing to talk about. That one more thing that you mentioned about the New York Giants. I know this is not a football podcast; it's a wrestling podcast, but certainly, yeah. I mean, I'm a Giants fan. Not as big of a Giants fan as I am a Yankees fan, because I like baseball more. But a lot of people out there are like, boo, right? Baseball's boring. Oh, there's 162 games a year. I get it. I've heard it all. But to me, I just love baseball. So that's coming soon if you're a baseball fan. But yeah, I like the Giants. I'm a Giants fan. I am. I wouldn't say, I'd spend any of my hard-earned money to go see them play, but I watch them. I'm a fan. Okay, I'll leave it there. But the Giants won this week, beat the Vikings in a slight I think they were a slight underdog. It wasn't the shock of the year, but they were slight underdogs in the game because they were on the road in Minnesota. Minnesota had beaten them 23-20 earlier in the year. And now the Giants squeaked out a victory there, and they are on the road once again to face the Eagles in likely, let's just be honest, it's likely their last game of the season. Not impossible that they beat the Eagles, but they're going to have to play a game that they've never played before. And that's, going 35 plus points, I think. You're going to have to really lay the offense on thick. And you know what? Daniel Jones has shown a lot over the last couple of games. And, that's where you're going to win. And that's, I think, what's going to be the biggest asset is, of course, Barkley, of course, Jones, and Jones with his legs. Okay. But the offensive line's going to have to do what they need to do. And there are some key injuries on the Eagles as well. The Eagles have some injuries that could affect the outcome of the game. But look, the Giants have a shot. I think right now they are 7-point or 7.5 point underdogs to the Eagles. So not overwhelming. The Giants are playing their best best football of the year right now. And how many times do you see the Giants score over 30 points? Not often. So there is a possibility they beat the Eagles. I think it's going to be a tight game. I really do. I think it's going to be one of those, maybe not a field goal game, but probably within one score, 7 to 10 point game. I think it could end with like a 35-23 kind of end, 35-27, that kind of thing. That's probably where it's going to live. I think it's going to be 33-29 or something crazy like that. That's somewhere around there. I think it's going to live for this game. It's a fascinating game on a lot of levels. But I'll say if the Giants win, then things get even more interesting because, and again, guys, I don't mean to turn this into a football podcast, but it's football season, right? Playoff season, and if the Giants win, even if they win, okay, people are going to be going nuts. Because then they have the chance to go to the Super Bowl with one more win. But in their way is going to either be the Cowboys that they can't beat or the San Francisco Giants that have won like 14 games in a row. I mean, they so people may get super excited, but I think the real end will come in the championship game if they make it that far. I'm not trying to kill Giants fans' hopes, and there's still a chance, but it's just not good at all. Okay, this is bonus time right now for the Giants. They shouldn't even be here. But Daniel Jones just made him a ton of money. He made himself a ton of money going into free agency this offseason by winning that playoff game. They're going to pay him and pay him very handsomely to stay as the quarterback of the football Giants. So, all right, let's get to our next voicemail. Thank you, DJ. And here we go.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. I wanted to just talk about the SmackDown in general, because last night watching SmackDown, it made me think that overall SmackDown is equally a terrible show than Raw in some respect, because I think I mentioned this before, it's either Roman Reigns, and everyone else. And it's like they only care about the bloodline stuff, and then, you know, is Sammy in the bloodline? When he's out of the bloodline, then what type of thing? It's like, so, because if you look at everything else, you know, Charlotte is SmackDown champion, not really doing anything interesting. And there's Liv Morgan is what, crazy or whatever. I don't know what to do with that. The whole Bray Wyatt LA Knight feud has been a failure. So, I guess my question is then is that, is it, for SmackDown itself, what needs to change there? Did he really have to shake up the roster again, or do you need it to have, like, what needs to change in order to make SmackDown a little bit more exciting like it was a few years ago? Because a few years ago, they had the top stars. Pretty much the majority of the people on Raw, with Becky and Bianca and Seth and all of them, were on SmackDown, and that was making SmackDown great. Ever since then, I said this last year too, but SmackDown seems dull, and it's about Roman Reigns and no one else, and everything else in the show isn't interesting to me, and I don't find, and it's like boring. It kind of puts me to sleep for the most part, honestly, sometimes. So, what can they do to make SmackDown interesting again? Do I have to wait till the SmackDown after WrestleMania? I mean, or after the Royal Rumble? So what do you think they can do to make SmackDown interesting? But that's it. Thanks for the call. Bye.
All right, Kyle. So I have to say, you might be the only person I've talked to that thinks SmackDown's boring right now, and it's as equally as bad as Raw. Doesn't mean you're wrong. I like the fact you have a differing opinion, to be honest. But here's my reasons why I think that SmackDown is a better show than Raw right now, currently. Number one, it's 2 hours versus 3. That instantaneously makes it a better show. Instantly. I mean, without even knowing what's on the show, instantly better. Secondly, your point about the Roman Reigns storyline being like it's Roman or nothing, it's the only thing that SmackDown seems to care about. Well, no. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on, okay? We'll get to that in a second. But every good show, Raw, SmackDown, whatever, does have a main storyline threaded through it to keep you on course for their main story. Like, I'm not saying it needs to be overwhelming with that storyline every single show. And a lot of times it's not. Sometimes they just sprinkle in the bloodline thing. And most of the time Roman Reigns is even there. Okay? Like Roman Reigns is there every 3 weeks at best. Competes on every other pay-per-view at best. He hasn't defended his championship in like 2 months since the Crown Jewel event. Like, so Roman Reigns has been essentially absentee. More than normal. Okay, so Roman Reigns hasn't exactly been saturating your television. But I understand if you're talking about the bloodline storyline in general, yeah, that's been a big thing. But it's a big deal because there's a lot happening with Sami Zayn. And okay, if you don't like the storyline, and it sounds like you don't, then you're going to feel like this is sucking up more time than it needs to. So it sounds like you may just don't like it. And if you don't like it, then you don't like it. You're obviously entitled to that opinion. But I think the majority of fans, not all, are interested in the outcome of this and interested in Sami Zayn's breakdown and how that all plays out. And is The Rock coming back and all that? Okay, but now this also leads to, well, you know, there's nothing else going on SmackDown. I would disagree. I mean, Bray Wyatt and LA Knight having LA Knight specifically is on the rise and doing a much better job than I ever could have hoped against Bray Wyatt. Now we'll see what the outcome is, of course, with this mysterious pitch black match that's taking place at the Rumble. But I think LA Knight's a rising star. You have Gunther, who is doing an amazing job as Intercontinental Champion. I could see him as a future world champion. He just beat Braun Strowman clean. He is a badass, a certified badass. He looks the part, plays the part, speaks the part. He is a pro wrestler's wrestler. He's awesome. That's my opinion, obviously. But, the Intercontinental Championship is getting a very healthy amount of attention on SmackDown, I think. The women's division, could it be better? Yeah, it could be better. I think. I think that's maybe where Raw has SmackDown beat a little bit. Liv Morgan just being kind of crazy Liv. Yeah, it doesn't really do any much for me either. It seems a little bit shallow, but she's trying something to keep things fresh, and I appreciate that. Ronda Rousey has gone MIA, which I think is addition by subtraction. Charlotte Flair's come back, although we haven't seen much of her other than being brawling with, what's her name? Sonya Deville backstage. The women's division, Raquel Rodriguez potentially turning heel. Emma's back. So there's stuff going on the women's division. Okay, you don't have Sasha Banks. I know you love Sasha. She, I think is pretty much done with WWE for the moment. But to say that SmackDown has nothing else going on, I don't think is fair. There are some decent storylines going on. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus aligning themselves together to try to take out the Usos. Well, now they're starting a tag team turmoil match, tournament, whatever, to determine who's going to face the Usos for the SmackDown tag team titles, which again, those tag team titles have suddenly been split. I mean, whatever. But again, I don't think it's fair. I just think that if you don't like the Roman Reigns storyline, then just try to focus on the other stuff. And there are there's some good stuff, other good stuff going on, I think. But how could they improve? Final question. How could they improve? Easy. They just do a couple of massive trades. Whether it's, if you want to bring Charlotte to Raw and Becky to SmackDown, that would help, I think, the women's division. Or if you just want to have not even a trade, just someone defect from Raw to SmackDown, I think that would help. Seth Rollins coming to SmackDown, I think, is a perfect fit for Seth, because then he gets to work with Roman, and that's a feud that is long overdue. That, I think, is a good move. I think somebody mentioned that Kevin Owens is actually an official part of SmackDown now, which I missed. There you go. Okay, so to me, it's just a couple of moves. It's not shaking up the whole roster. It's just a couple of massive moves will do the trick and I think freshen things up. That's my talk, or that's my talk. Yeah, TED Talk here. That's my opinion. So thanks, Kyle. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, Matt, it's New York Kyle again. Just a heads up for everyone. I do have a cold. I've had a cold since New Year's, so if I sound nasally or I cough during the voicemail, I apologize. I've had a really bad cold since New Year's. Also, Matt, I have a request. Just this once, can you play two voicemails for me? Because I don't answer it often. I'm too lazy. I'll be honest with you. I'm too lazy and busy to write email this week. I promise next time I will. But also ask me shout-outs for two people on the mailbag, actually. Anyway, so I saw this tweet from MJF that got me thinking. He was saying how, people were criticizing Anna Jay. If you don't know, Matt, on AEW, there's this woman wrestler named Anna Jay who was part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Chris Jericho's heel faction, and she was part of a street fight on AEW Rampage. And it was a really good match. Everyone was saying it was really good. But the one critique of the match they were saying was, Anna Jay's so bad in the ring, she sucks. And MJF actually tweeted and wrote, what we do is real, she busted her ass, and all you have the balls to criticize her. This is why I don't please wrestling fans. I please my wallet. I feel like that was him out of character. And also, I kind of agree with him, actually. It got me thinking, he's right. We, not us on the podcast, collectively, the general fan base, really don't respect what these people do. They put their lives on the line for us. That's another thing he wrote in the tweet too, actually, I forgot to mention. And it got me thinking, it's so true. And also, Matt, I know you've told a story in the past about how you actually took a bump in the ring once, And you probably have more respect for them than anybody. I don't know. Just got me thinking. My 3 minutes are about to be up. I'll call again in a second for the second voicemail. For the shout-outs.
All right, Kyle, this is voicemail 1. Yes, I will play the other one. I know you don't often do it, so I will do it for you tonight. So no worries. First of all, I did not see the tweet. I followed the whole story. It sounds perfect from MJF. I totally agree with him. That's coming from a real place. So what's great about MJF is he's real. He's really trying to be truly hated, but at the same time speaks truth. And I totally agree. Like if people say, oh, Anna Jay sucks, all that. First of all, I didn't see the match, to be fair. So I'm taking everything you're saying at face value. I don't think you're lying. I believe you. But okay. So I've taken a few bumps in the ring. I have. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm a badass. No, I'm not Dominic. Okay, pretending that I'm a 10-year grizzled vet because I spent a few hours in a ring taking a few bumps. It actually was at the if anybody knows, it was a place in Massachusetts. It was actually Classy Freddie Blassie, the Chaotic Training Center that's now known as something else. It's just south of Boston, but that's actually where I think Triple H went through there, or he has shown up there before to scout talent. Classy Freddie Blassie was a student there and a trainer there. Others have come through there and been on Monday Night Raw before. So Chaotic Training Center, I don't know if it's known as that now, but it's a pro wrestling school there. So I went there for a few open, kind of like open days where they have anybody who wants to come in and try to cut a promo and learn about in-ring stuff, kind of basics. Yeah, so I took a couple of bumps, and I will say this, it's not fun. It's not like jumping on a California King mattress. It is brutal. And you just watch these guys, sitting there with your sandwich, that was a crappy bump. Oh, that bump. People don't realize just regular bumps that go by, hundreds of them, if not thousands, we see per show. Take one bump in the ring and you tell me if it's fun. Throwing your body at the ground is not a natural thing to do. And throwing your body, even to go further, throwing your body at the ground that is hard is even less fun. It is the worst part about it. I mean, is it kind of shocks your neck and your head. So even if you land perfectly and you don't crack the back of your head on the mat, and you land like a flat back bump to disperse the amount of to maximize the amount of your body on the mat so it's not focused on a single area, which reduces injury, you're flat backing, it still kind of shocks your head and your neck. You come away with a headache all the time, and it's not fun, man. Anybody go in there. It's not concrete, but it's still, I don't know what else to make. And also the ropes. I ran the ropes. That was part of the drills that they did with us, and running the ropes even leaves marks, and it bruises up your sides, and the guys and gals in there must be calloused up or they're just immune to it at this point. But even running the ropes is something that's it's springy. It's like some kind of rubber band. It must be fun to just jump off it. No, those ropes are made out of steel cable wrapped in some hard material. It is not the ring is brutal, guys. And I'm not trying to pretend to be a grizzled vet. This is only coming from a few hours of experience, but all the things that I thought from just a viewer's perspective about the ring and how it felt, I was completely wrong. Okay. Anybody that's been in the ring for many, 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 many more hours or days or years than I have can probably tell you a lot more about it. But I would imagine that they would validate some of what I'm saying, that it's not as fun as you think it would be, or as not as physical as you think it would be. It's more physical. So it does make you instantly have more respect for the men and women in the business, for sure. No doubt about it. But MJF, I love how he's so real about just lining his pockets, and he's not worried about what we think. I love it because I totally believe him as a person, not as a character, as a human being. But, okay, thanks, Kyle. Let's get to your next voicemail, and then we'll move on.
Hey, Matt, it's New York Kyle again. It's the second voicemail. So, yeah, I know this week was more of just a statement, it wasn't really a question. It was more just getting something off my mind that I saw on Twitter from MJF. Just wanted to get off my mind. So, yeah, now it's time for the shout-outs. I just want to tell a quick story. So, shout-out to G-Man and DJ Kuzmo, because G-Man actually found me on Instagram, and we had a little chat for a little bit in the DMs. He followed me. He found me on there. And then I actually found DJ Kuzmo through him because on like G-Man's profile, under his name it said like followed by DJ Kuzmo. That's how I found him. I messaged him too, so I followed them both on Instagram now. And G-Man just so happens to have a PS5. I have a PS4. Trying to get a PS5, but right now they're sold out in New York. In New York, they're getting restocked right now. I know Matt, you're in I believe you're in upstate New York. I'm in like the suburbs. I have a vacation home upstate. I'm like 2 hours away from you actually, I think. Or 2 hours from upstate. Probably not away from you, just from upstate I mean. And they're pretty sold out here. We're getting restocked, so but hopefully G-Man, me and him could play some WWE 2K22. So I just wanted to shout them both out. And I've actually heard rumors that they might be showing the first trailer for 2K23 at the Royal Rumble. So if anybody in the podcast family's a gamer like myself, I guess get hyped for that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Once again, Matt, sorry I sent 2 voicemails. I don't do it often, but I just honestly didn't have time to send an email. I'm busy with work, that's all. But like I said again, next time I've had something this long or like this much stuff to say, next time I'll send in an email. But that's it this week, and talk to you guys next time. Peace.
All right, Kyle, no problem, man. I don't want to make this a habit where someone's like, wait a minute, I can put 2 voicemails in? He allowed Kyle to do it. Well, guys, okay, like if everyone did that and thought that, that you can put 2 voicemails in, this show would be 4 hours long. It's already going to probably be close to 2 hours. I like to try to keep it to an hour, but I've already gone over that because it's WrestleMania season, guys, and it's just crazy. But okay, PS5, yeah, it took me forever. I didn't get one until last summer because every single time that I would, get a notification from like those Twitter accounts that say, oh, it's back in stock at Amazon, quick, or it's back in stock at Walmart, or back in stock at Target, or at GameStop, or where the hell ever, Costco. And by the time you get there, it's already gone. It's like, boom, gone. You blink and it's gone. The South Park episode, I think about this every time. Those that watch South Park know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you don't. But the one where you go to the bank and you put the money in the account and the guy's like, and it's gone. That's how I felt. Some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you keep trying. The way I got my PS5 was that PlayStation themselves have their own store, and I was put on a list that anytime that they had an X amount, I would be specifically notified. It wasn't open to the public. It was only by invitation that they would put the store out to people. And that's how I got it. So if you haven't gone to the PlayStation Store itself, sign up for notifications for the PlayStation 5. It's totally worth it. PlayStation 5 kicks ass. And they are putting out, from what I hear from 2K, the 2K team, that they are going to be putting out a trailer for 2K23 at the Rumble. And that makes sense given that the 2K22 came out in March of last year. And if it's already mid-January, they'd have only a couple of months to promote it and finish it. So that makes sense that 10 months into development that they are going to release a trailer. So 2K23, I have no idea about the specs, about the graphic. I have nothing. We'll know so much more about that, hopefully at the Rumble, where we get probably a teasing trailer. But yeah, seriously, get your PS5. And then, maybe when we're all 75, 80 years old and the PlayStation, 15 is out, we can enjoy Grand Theft Auto 6. So those that know. It has been 10 years since Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. The longest block of time between any of the GTA games. And they keep doing like updates to GTA 5 Online and all this crap. And we're like, bro, can we just get to GTA 6? The thing is, though, it may be smart on their end that they know that it's going to be built for next-gen consoles only, I believe, for GTA 6. And if that's the case, they know that a lot of people, thousands upon thousands of people that want PlayStation 5s don't have them. And if they don't have them, they can't purchase the GTA game. So I would imagine that they're like, hey, PlayStation, get your crap together, build these things quick so we can sell them and we can kind of maximize our sales for GTA. I mean, so All right, I've gone into football. I've gone into video games tonight. Weird night. All right, let's get to the next voicemail.
Alex, the French guy here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Matt. Just to address what I said, I think last week about Saudi Arabia purchasing WWE, we are seeing that we should not go and just take the rumor as it is. As long as it's not official, it's not official yet. So, like, you also see some rumors about AEW purchasing the company. But, yeah, we should just see what the future is behold for us and see also what the product is made of. Given that, I would just wanted to address the WWE podcast community. I am your European champion, and I am also a master's student. I am waiting on my results this week. So, and I think by the time the message will air, I will know if I become the official Master European Champion of the WWE podcast. So, yeah, we will all see this next week if I succeed on this match versus the Master pieces, and if it's successful, I win the title as the Master European Champion. And yeah, just also to address that, I think I started listening to podcasts. I think it was during WrestleMania of, I don't know, I think it was last year or something. And I just wanted to say that ever since I started listening to podcasts, it was also a link for me to the wrestling world. And I wanted to thank you, the community. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, it's really a blast to listen to the podcast and to the different concept of the channel. And yeah, given that, we'll see us next week to see if I become a new champion. And thank you, everybody. See you next week. Bye.
All right, Alex, the French guy, our European champion. We'll find out if he's the Master European champion. Is that a thing? I guess that is now. So yeah, we'll find out. And somebody has to challenge him for this title, right? Like, he's going unopposed. Somebody needs to challenge him. He can't go on a Roman Reigns 3-year run here. But thank you, Alex, for the comments, and I'm glad I was able to tie you back into wrestling. And I don't know what it is. Are you guys like in a complimentary mood? Something bad's coming, right? Like, everything in the universe balances out. So maybe next week I'll get a whole bunch of hate. Right? Like, somebody will write a nasty review on Apple Podcasts, or somebody will call in. I don't know, something ain't right here. Like, I don't know. It's I appreciate it, Alex. I'm not saying anyone's setting me up, but that's usually how things work in the world, where there's always a equal and opposite reaction at times. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to reconnect you with wrestling. And hey, stay tuned. We've got a lot of great stuff coming. Great co-hosts through WrestleMania season. It's time. Buckle up. It's about to get fun around here. So, all right. Thank you, Alex. And let's get to, we have a few more, and then we'll close it out for the night here. Let's get to our next one.
Hello, everybody. I'm from the mean streets of Louisville, Kentucky. This is your favorite gardener, Michael Gross. And I'm calling instead of making a statement, instead of making a question, I'm just calling to make a statement that the world has lost a great performer in Jay Briscoe. He was 38 years old. If you've never seen his work, he and his brother Mark were one of the best tag teams living on the planet. Their work with FTR was amazing, but you can go back many years on Ring of Honor, YouTube, and see what they did. We lost a hell of a performer. We lost a hell of a wrestler. And his family, I'm sure, is mourning it. And I just want to say on behalf of the WWE podcast family, good night, Jay Briscoe. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
All right, Mr. Gardner. Long time no talk on the podcast, but yeah, no doubt about it. Amen. I mean, I really would encourage everyone to go look at his work. I was not as familiar as I probably should have been, and I have gone back and taken a look at his work, and it's impressive. And the pro wrestling world did lose not just amazing talent, but a man, in a family that was affected, and his brother and all. that's the other thing too that I said. It's about the humanity of this. It's not about necessarily, oh, we lost a great wrestler. It's like, yeah, you did, no doubt about it. That's a that's a fact. But more importantly, did he lose? In this case, was he a husband? Was he a father? Was he? To me, those things are paramount. And but again, if you're in a wrestling community, as we all are, it is. It's a tough one, and brings things back to earth, doesn't it? It definitely does. Thank you, Michael, the Gardner Gross here, and we will be chatting soon. Wink, wink. All right, last couple voicemails. Let's do this.
Here on the WWE podcast, there has been a caterpillar for the last year. This caterpillar has been hanging out and growing and learning and evolving. But just like any other caterpillar, he is in his cocoon. He is in his cocoon awaiting to bust out, to evolve, to transcend, to become what he thinks he is, or rather, what they think they are. This caterpillar was born on the Mailbag. This caterpillar has grown on the WWE podcast. And come WrestleMania, this caterpillar, with all its glory, will bust out of that cocoon, spread their wings, and a whole new entity will be born. A whole new show will transpire. No one is safe. Look for it. WrestleMania weekend. This butterfly will return to you all. What the? What?
Now, I've got some interesting voicemails over the years. This is up there. This is up there. I have ideas on who and what this is about. I'll keep them to myself because I don't want to speculate because I'm not super confident on it. I have ideas. People have reached out to me. That voice is very familiar to me, but can't quite put my finger on it. I really don't know what to make of this. It was a fun promo. I like it. It kept me captivated. It kept me interested because I'm like, all right, where's this going? Right. But I guess we'll find out WrestleMania weekend. We've got, my God, I don't know how many days, a lot of days until WrestleMania. But I'm interested. I'm hooked. I like it. Let's see what spawns on the podcast here. Let's see who and what comes out of it. Because the butterfly is out. And now I want to see where it lands. All right. Very, very interesting. I love this. I love this stuff. All right. Let's get to our final voicemail for the night.
Hey, what's going on, Matt? It's Joel, the Digger Graves, calling in again, all the way from Ontario, Canada. Just going to keep it short this week. Just a couple of things. Firstly, I'd like to say that the thought of Vince McMahon being in charge of anything to do with creative makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. I've very much enjoyed the way that Triple H has turned the creative around in the last almost year. And if Vince comes back, I just feel like we are going to go back to the pandemic era, and nobody wants that. Last thing I want to say is Angelo Dawkins drives me crazy. He is so frustrating to watch. His moveset, very unimpactful, and I really cannot wait for Montez Ford and him to split up and to have Montez Ford go on a solo run that I think he deserves and I think he'll excel at. And Angelo Dawkins, I don't know, he can go to NXT or even AEW for all I care. Anyways, that's all I got to say this week, and look forward to listening to the rest of the calls. Have a good one.
All right, Joel the Digger from Ontario. Good to hear from you again this week. So, Vince McMahon, if he comes back, again, reportedly, he's already back in the offices. Reportedly. And, even if he says, here's the thing, even if he says that Triple H is remaining as head of creative, is he really, though? Or is Vince just aware enough to know that the fans have really taken to Triple H's view of wrestling, and that behind the scenes, sure, Triple H is head of creative, but guess what? He still has to go through Vince for the final say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if Vince is still the final filter before things get approved, then nothing's changed. You know, like, that I agree is my concern. We've seen Vince. Vince is a creative genius. He has been in the past. I know we're all kind of like, oh my God, Vince sucks. But, like, we're all here because of Vince. I'm speaking right now because of Vince McMahon. I just think that with his advanced age and the fact that I think we've seen every idea he can possibly come up with right now and how he presents pro wrestling, the word wrestling has been banned on a wrestling show. That's all you need to know about how he views the company. It's just time for him to go. That's all. I don't hate Vince. He brought something global and has made it an absolute juggernaut. And good for him. But now it's just time to move on. And he doesn't want to. And that's a Vince McMahon way. And if he does come back in a creative capacity but says, well, Triple H is still in charge of creative, nonsense. Triple H is in charge of creative, wink, wink. But even after Triple H says, yeah, we're going to go with this, guess what? It still has to pass through me, i.e., I'm really the head of creative. That's my concern. I agree. Let's see. So the last point about Angelo Dawkins driving you crazy. I have never been an Angelo Dawkins fan on any level. I don't think he should be fired. I just think that he's insufferable when it comes to, I mean, I think he'd be a really good heel. I don't like the way he delivers promos. His in-ring work is fine. He's a very agile big man. Yeah, he's been a mildly successful part of Street Profits. But let's be honest, the true star of that duo is Montez Ford, as you said. No doubt about it. We've seen that since day one. And if the Street Profits split up, sure, I'd love to see Montez Ford go on a singles run and eventually become world champion. I would. I think Montez Ford has the charisma and the in-ring ability to do it and the promo ability to do it. I think Montez Ford has all the tools that when that duo splits, Montez Ford is going to ascend quickly while we have Angelo Dawkins kind of floundering. Montez Ford doesn't need Angelo Dawkins. Angelo Dawkins needs Montez Ford. And that's all there was to it. But it's not a unique dynamic to a tag team. There's always a bigger star in a tag team than the other. Always. Maybe the exception is the Usos with identical twins, and they're kind of one right now. But 99% of cases, there's always a bigger star in a tag team. Always. There's no exception. So, all right. Thank you, Joel. Thank you to everybody tonight. Long show. As I imagine, this is probably going to continue with WrestleMania season. The Rumble's right around the corner. Things are going to just get scathing hot with news and rumors and all that, and everything else is going to explode. The Vince McMahon story is going to continue to evolve, I'm sure. WWE sales probably going to that rumor is going to continue for a while. And then of course the actual creative, the on-air product is The Rock coming back, all that Cody, blah, blah. It's going to get fun, guys. So stay right here to the WWE podcast. Again, get yourself into the ad-free experience on Patreon. For $1, it gets you in the door. For $5, you can get video and other stuff. So I'd really recommend you check that out, but you can also do it right on the Apple Podcast app for 99 cents a month. But that sale ends on Saturday. So get yourself in there today. And if you want to go ad free for the entire year, it's $10 for the year. Pretty soon that jumps to $30 for the entire year. So yeah, really recommend. I'm trying to really save you guys money if you want to do that. If you don't, you want to skip through the ads and that's what you do. No problem. But if you've been on the fence, now is the time. So I'm trying to help you guys out there. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. I will be back on, I'm recording Saturday night, but Sunday will we release the week in review, and I'll have a co-host that you have heard, maybe even on this mailbag. Dun, dun, dun. Leave it to you to figure that out. Pretty easy. But I'll have a co-host coming up this coming week in review this weekend. Until then, take care. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.